the Verkhovna Rada, and it was a very nice speech. I mean, said all the right things, but when first of all looking at all those the faces of the members there who's sitting there listening to him, and he's saying all this nice stuff about how NATO is totally behind Ukraine. Well, so where the f are the defense missiles that they need? It's really great. We were talking about this conference I went to. They said solidarity is three things. It's speaking, knowing, and acting. Solidarity means nothing if Ruta is just going to come and give another nice speech. I thought that the Rada members were incredibly generous, not to start throwing eggs at him. Honestly, it was like I said. If you don't know what's going on, it sounded like a great speech, but if you compare that to what's actually going on in Ukraine, it was pretty outrageous.
I agree with that. I listened to a good part of that speech as well. I also noticed that a lot of the Ukrainian members of the Rada didn't pay much attention to Ruda, frankly. They were
Well,
busy
they
doing,
were looking very Slavic.
well, they were busy doing other things. And not all the seats in the Rada were filled, by the way. I don't think that Ruda drew a full house, which is always kind of embarrassing when when someone goes to a parliament or a congress or a Rada to make a speech and there are empty seats. It never happens. Well, it can happen in Washington D.C., but I remember one session in Congress, and I can't remember who the speaker was. There were so many empty seats that they were filled with pages and aides from the House and the Senate. If the young faces sitting in those seats in the House actually had actually served as elected members, the United States would have been run by the youngest people in the world, but they were just there to fill the seats.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a good day. Um, who's that? Where's Mockers? Did she fall back asleep? If she fell back asleep, I'm gonna have to kick her little butt.
No, she wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, she would. It happened before. Let me see, is this working? Okay, that's working. All right. I gotta make sure that I have closed captions on one account. Just cause I can. Anyway, let's work on a timestamp and if I have to, I'll go call Mockers. Oh, I can't call Mockers and wake her up. Well, number one, because she's here. Number two, because even though I'm the only person who makes Mockers' phone ring, it doesn't ring enough to wake her up. And so there you have it. I suppose I could send you guys co-host invites while I'm at it too. Boom. I sent her. I approved her request to speak, but she evidently.
You
Are
did.
you? Oh, there you are. Okay. Are you making coffee?
I am.
All right. I just hit the wrong button and I hate it when I accidentally do that. World clock, not world calendar. Duh. Alrighty. It is currently Wednesday, February 4th in a lot of the world, but not all the world. So we're going to check out what time it is where. Now, yesterday, right after I did the timestamp, I ended up getting a message from somebody that said, "Hey, I'm in Fingering Hoe." Not kidding, Mockers. Somebody sent me a message saying, "I'm in Fingering Hoe. How can you not use that?" And so today I am using in Fingering Hoe, UK. It is 7:02 a.m. Yes, I will screenshot that and send it to you, Mockers, because it made me laugh. I thought it was absolutely fabulous. I said, "That's on my list." I use it now and then. But at the Wangsdorf Stadium in Switzerland, it is 8:02 a.m. Then in Belly Button Kiev, Pupka, Ukraine, it is 9:02 a.m. In the workers' paradise that I am contractually obligated to say, I don't know what would happen if I broke a non-existent contract, but still, it is 3:02 p.m. in Hangover Bay. On the Kinki Expressway in the Osaka, Japan area, it is 4:03 p.m. Now, in Foul Bay, those people are a little foul because they're half an hour off. It is 5:33 p.m. And in Mount Buggery, Australia, it is 6:03 p.m. Then this takes us all the way to I watched a little bit of Jimmy Kimmel tonight. So I think we need to honor where Jimmy Kimmel is the honorary mayor in Dildo, Newfoundland and Labrador, where it is where's the time? There it is, 3:33 a.m. Those people are a little off too. Jimmy Kimmel may belong with them. I tell you, somebody sent me his monologue from tonight. It was absolutely fabulous. Best part was the boxer. It is currently 2:03 a.m. in Goochville, Virginia. 2:03 a.m. in Goochville, Virginia. And I'm sticking with this one for another day. Three-Way, Tennessee, where they keep it all in the family. It is 1:04 a.m. And then in Slickpoo, Idaho, it is 12:04 a.m. Then we come back to we sane people here in the Pacific Northwest, where in Poo Poo Point, Washington, it is 11:04 p.m. And then we go to the place where Sarah Palin can see Russia from her house, and Sarah Palin is now stalking me in Beaver, Alaska. It is 10:04 p.m. where Sarah Palin can see Russia from her house, and evidently I've said it too much because now she's freaking stalking me. She's showing up on my timeline. I wonder what on earth happened to that woman. And then all of a sudden, she shows up on my timeline. So that is your timestamp for today. Give you an idea of where everybody is in the world and who should be asleep and who's actually awake. And yeah, Mockers a post today, actually not all that long ago. I probably should have seen it earlier, where it was the story of the efforts to extinguish fire after a Russian missile strike. Firefighters faced extreme conditions as temperatures dropped to negative 20 Celsius. The water sprayed from the 16th floor froze before reaching the ground. So they were basically giving themselves freezing rain by fighting fires. That was an interesting thing that I had never thought about before. Yeah, that is just it. Yeah, that's going to make the roads a lot more difficult, and it's going to make a lot of things more difficult.
Yeah, morning everybody. I'm here on time, on deck, ready to go. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, yeah, I saw that, Princess. That's extreme firefighting, isn't it? So you have to make sure that you don't spray water on your mates because you're just giving them a snow shower, which they really weren't looking forward to. So yes, but the point of that story is that the fucking Russians shouldn't have been bombing because the orange turd had said asked his mate for a ceasefire, and guess what his mate did? Totally ignored him as usual. But the orange turd will just keep doing what the orange turd keeps doing, unfortunately. Anyway, morning mockers, how are you? And Yenny, good morning to you.
Morning. I do believe that the ceasefire was nothing but a short pause to allow Russia to build up some more missile production.
Absolutely, yeah.
Call me cynical, but I don't think it was actually a ceasefire at all. I think it was
Call you,
Russia asking for a little bit of a break while they built some more missiles.
call you cynical, mockers. No, never. Will never happen. Yenny, go ahead.
Someone is unhappy in your background. And I'm totally with Mockers. This was not a ceasefire. This was, oh, we need a tiny respite so that we can build up a little bit of ammunition to launch at Ukraine. There's a video when the temperature hits. I think it has to be colder than minus 20. You take boiling hot water and then you throw it up in the air and it will instantaneously turn into snow because, believe it or not, warm and hot water freezes faster than cold. And so I wasn't surprised when I saw that video too, where it turned into ice rain. This is what water does in these temperatures. So just saying. Anyways,
Yeah,
back
absolutely.
to you guys.
So, quite a few people sent it to me, Prince Heather, and I just stand here in absolute awe and admiration of our Ukrainian firefighters. That they didn't moan about it. They knew what was going on, and they just adjusted the tactics so it didn't happen quite so much. But yeah, the stuff that gets sprayed out of the building, which sometimes can happen because you are firefighting, still got their mates a bit cold. But yeah, they dealt with it. That's the point. As opposed to what I'm seeing on the Russian side at the moment, which is a complete and utter tale of woe. But we'll get to that later. Mockers, where do you want to start today?
Well, I thought we'd start on the water, actually, as it happens, because Estonia have shown us all what a pair of balls looks like, eh? Haven't they? And
Oh,
they've
absolutely. Yep. I saw that as well. But yeah, please do explain.
so they've grabbed a ship, a Russian vessel, flagged under Bahamian, Bahamian. Okay. Uh, and it was a flagged container ship en route to Russia. Now, the vessel has been detained on suspicion of involvement in smuggling operations. So it originated in Ecuador. Its final destination was St. Petersburg, and the ship's crew was entirely Russian citizens, 23 of them, in fact. So it's about time. It's about time. And it is nice to see that, Estonia showed us the way here and basically said, yeah, that's how you do it, folks. You just pull them over. Dead easy. Dead easy. Watch that. So good. We like that. We like that one a lot. So if we could all now also, find our balls and start grabbing these ships because Well, guess what? So it's all going off. Now, have I think I have noticed a more concerted effort just recently to arrest people involved in doing things that they shouldn't be. It's almost as though we've started looking just that little bit harder. So yesterday there was some information which obviously I couldn't talk about because I had to go to the office, which was rude. But yesterday there was the story of the German government announcing nationwide raids related to the smuggling of microelectronics to Russia. Remember them investigative journalists that found the warehouse and found all these, smuggling connections? Well, it seems that because they embarrassed the German government decided they'd best do something about it. Yes. Sometimes you have to name and shame, you know what I mean? Things finally get done. So, 5 smugglers have been arrested in the city of Lübeck, amongst them citizens of Germany, Russia, and Ukraine. So, the main suspect is Nikita S., the owner of a company in Lübeck with both German and Russian passports. Searches took place in both Frankfurt and Nuremberg, and the suspects are found to have sent electronics worth 30 million euros to Russia over the past 4 years, while we've, just let them do it, I think. Not bothered to investigate. Didn't want to look under our own skirt for any trouble. No, apparently not. So, guess who's behind the network? That's right, Russian state authorities. And it is known that 24 defence companies in Russia received approximately 16,000 shipments through shell companies belonging to the individuals arrested in this case. Where are our fucking morals, for a start? I mean, I can understand it from some of these, parties involved, but that's something that, it's not that quiet, an operation like this. And it's really unsurprising that the Russians have been up to this. But why has it taken this bloody long? And also being called out by investigative journalists to actually start doing something. Goodness gracious me. Thank God some journalists still do their fucking job. Excuse me for the swears, but I'm feeling that way out today.
Absolutely, Mockers couldn't agree with you more. So, turns out you can buy anything in Russia and you can buy anything in Europe, it would seem. Because some people put the dollar before their morals, bankers. On a side note, the UK has just expelled a diplomat, and that was a bit of tit for tat. But there you go. The other
Who's
thing,
that? We know.
oh, he's just a low-level spy. And don't forget, people, every Russian consulate embassy is an outpost of the not FBU, of Russian intelligence. And every Russian you meet will report back to the state at some stage. There are no good Russians, people.
Well, in fact, it was one of the requirements in the past that in order to leave Russia, get that passport to leave Russia, that you would have to agree to do some sort of spying or espionage. Just to point out, the requester, who's pretending to be a Ukrainian lady, is from Africa. She's from Africa. So, that seems...
yeah, she's gone. Or will
but
go.
that African man who's pretending to be a Ukrainian lady. There's a lot of that going around these days, isn't there? It's very strange. Anyway, it also seems that we've started to, just open our eyes to the fact that Russia have been infiltrating us for years. Years. Let's start with the small potatoes. So, German authorities have arrested 2 suspects who were attempting to sabotage a German naval vessel in Hamburg by pouring abrasives into the engine and tampering with the fuel systems. Now, These guys actually worked their way up and got themselves jobs as ship's maintenance crew. So they knew what they were doing right from the beginning. And somebody just said here, make them swim back to Russia. Well, yes. I'm not saying it's always the Russians up to shit like this, but it is always the Russians that are up to shit like this. Have you noticed that? This has also happened multiple times where NATO vessels have been found to have metal shavings or abrasives entered into their fuel or lubrication systems over the last few years. So guess who's been doing that shit? Guess. That's right. Yes, it's always been Russia. There have been other cases of sabotage within the German Navy as well. These guys literally had jobs at the naval yard, repairing and updating ships. So that was that. They'd actually worked their way into those jobs. We've got many more, but I'll mention this one. A Russian mole inside of the Sea Drone program in Ukraine. And this could be why they recently released some new information about the Sea Drone, because it's already compromised, so they might as well just tell us anyway. But yes, these things keep happening as well. So the security services of Ukraine have arrested a service member allegedly planning to pass information on Ukrainian sea drones operating locations to Russia for targeting. Because remember, they're only as good as the information they get. And if we can cut off that supply of information and the supply of chips and the supply of, Western stuff that they're using to build their freaking missiles with, they literally won't have any missiles to throw. So if we could get on with that, that'd be nice. Also, this person was apparently provided information which may have resulted in a Ukrainian grain export being attacked as well. So, proper scumbag, and tarring and feathering. That's where I'm at now. None of this, let's take them to court. No, drag them outside, pour hot tar on them, and stick them with feathers, and then, pariah from society, and then lock them up. Because I'm all for justice these days. Now, there's also been a number of other obvious, shall we say, things found with regards to Russia. Honeypotting, sexual exploitation, the US industries have all been, infiltrated by Russians. And of course the US administration. Looking at you, Trump and Tulsi Gabbard. Anyway, there was a lovely video from 2011, part of a Kremlin paid propaganda project combining young girls, sex, luxury yachts and other luxuries, and Putin, of course. All of this started in the early 2000s as Kremlin organized Putin Youth ran indoctrination camps on Seliger Lake. Minor girls, because that was important that they were caught with minors, were recruited for political actions and more. In fact, one girl here, Masha Drakova, got of the service to Russia when she was 17 and was appointed as speaker of the movement. At the Moscow University's Faculty of Journalism, female students in teenagers were recruited by Kremlin-affiliated advertising agencies to publish a calendar with sexualized calls for Vladimir Putin, like, would you do it for the third time, please? Was it just a strange PR campaign? No, of course not. These young women were actually used to set honey traps on all sorts of people. One lady with the nickname Mumu, Katia Gerasimova, was famous after she slept and recorded videos with several persons of interest for the Kremlin. The Putin youth movement leaders consumed the minors too, obviously. The head of the movement had a protege, Anastasia Gorchevskaya, and she wrote, Yakimenko still thinks he is my crush. And he replied, rocketed. She got a VP job at a Swiss-Singapore high-tech company owned by a Russian-originating Sergei Belousov. Yes, you know that guy. In 2017, she got an E16 US visa as an exceptional talent, with her tongue, no doubt, and founded her own venture capital Day One Fund in 2018 in California. She wasn't just in high tech, no. She worked also as a publicist for, guess who? That's right, Mr. Epstein. Yes. In fact, they're full of some of these files, full of chats with her, mails and calls. She also tried to advise him on all sorts of topics. And along with her sister in 2017 to 2019, can you see how this is coming to the present day almost? Her sister's Victoria Drakova and another of Epstein's assistants, Lana Poshadeva, maybe? Poshadeva, created a number of enterprises, including one called We Talks, W-E, just in case, Talks, affiliated with Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiatives. And that's not the end of the story either. But it just, all of these connections lead back to Russia. It's amazing, isn't it, how many Russians are all over these fucking things, these files. Yes, all over them. And well, there's all sorts of reasons why I feel as though a lot of this was a Russian op, all these honeypots and stuff. Come on, that's just Russian business entirely. And so, also please note, there's been a whole load of shit that's been released with these most recent release that's been unredacted. And then they've been trying to pull it back, and delete those files that have been unredacted. Now, what's happened is the redacted copy has been released, but also the unredacted copy. So you get all the names and everything off the emails that were redacted previously. And it turns out that 90% of the redactions are protecting actual paedophiles. I know, it's amazing. I'd just say deleting it now is no fucking good, because the internet is forever. And just another reason why they've introduced all this information all at once is because it takes time to look through, and they can, pull stuff. But you see, everyone downloaded it immediately. So the internet is definitely forever. And yeah, there's well, this is only a small portion as well. So you can imagine what the rest of it's like. The rest of it's probably a lot worse. But, just all this stuff that is continuing to be covered up, and God knows why none of this was released earlier. I'll just say that. But, oh boy, it's a heck of a shitstorm, isn't it? And so, yeah, I think there is somebody on the inside who was just like, I'm just going to delete, just going to release some of these stuff, smuggle this in unredacted completely. And all the, connections, everything connects back to either Russia or, well, I'd just say blackmail from another country who is currently, in the press for committing a genocide. Yes. So all of that, um, golly gosh, it goes on and on and on, doesn't it? But at least now we know why they wanted to sit on them so hard, because everybody's involved. I mean, not just like, a few people here, there, and everywhere. No, every fucking body. I see our friend Mr. Mandelson has also stepped down from the House of Lords. So good.
Run for the hills, Mocker, along with Andrew. They're both out.
Well, exactly, and they can stay out. I mean, like I say, tar and feather. Just drag them out into the street, hot tar, feathers, and just leave to your own devices. Because I've read a description of that happened to a lady in what's it called, in Ireland, during some troubles, and because Ireland's had a lot of troubles, as you might imagine. This particular lady was accused of being nice to a British soldier, and that's what they did to her. Yes, and as it happens, she did have a relationship with a British soldier, so that's what happens. But yeah, I just think I read the description. It was so horrific. Yes, let's do that to all of them. Yeah. So, Mr. PM, Polish PM Donald Tusk also has no time for the Kremlin's games. And he said Mr. Epstein, was not just some rogue billionaire creep. He was likely a high-level asset in a Russian-orchestrated compromat machine. Remember when we said that Russia probably has compromat on loads of people? Well, yes, absolutely true. And all done through this guy and his, empire of diddling children. Fucking disgusting. Just honestly, if you could just keep your flies zipped up, that'd be nice. All you rich wankers. They just think they can get away with everything, don't they? Well, apparently not anymore. So, Tusk also confirms that the Polish government is officially investigating the links between Epstein's circle and the Russian special services. If the FSB was coexisting in this operation collecting dirt on global leaders, it explains why people are so terrified of the full client list seeing the light of day and why it never has. If only people believed the women, eh? They gave all the names. Nobody fucking believed them. Or it was, these women are crazy, totally. Also, I just point out Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson said something about this some time ago and was labelled as crazy. Yes, amazing, eh? So, we're not talking about a PDF file ring just anymore. A massive state-sponsored blackmail operation designed to put basically everybody, all the leaders of every country, in Putin's back pocket. So what did Tusk say? We cannot allow any of the cases involving the abuse of Polish children by a network of PDFs and the organizer of this satanic circle. Maybe he knows something we don't. Mr. Epp should not be treated lightly or ignored. The first pieces of information have appeared relating to the individuals who Mr. Epp transferred or trafficked, that's the word, from Krakow. And they already had a group of Polish women or girls. I mean, you know, just this is one of the reasons why that there's, you know, it's worth keeping poor people poor and vulnerable because, you know, when you're desperate for money. Together with the Minister of Justice and the Prosecutor General and the Special Services Coordinator, they've decided to establish an analytical team and possibly also launch an investigation. Possibly, maybe, just do it. They have concerns over the scandal involving PDFs in the US. Well, there's a fucking surprise. Sorry, guys, but, you know, it's we need to yank it all out into the light. Famous Scottish journalist Andrew Marr asked yesterday all the key questions that concerned every government in the world. Questions as to what we intend to do about the growing day-to-day suspicions of links between Epstein and the entire paedophile circle in the whole fucking world. Sorry, I added that bit. And the Russian special services. This must above all be clarified in the light of security of the Polish state. Now, we haven't yet seen absolute proof that Putin was co-organising this operation. However, his name is literally all over the fucking place. All over the place. And this puts Putin stealing Ukrainian children into a different light, doesn't it? Exactly. So there's also, you know, let me see, who else is mentioned? Vladimir Khrushchev, KGB head in 1987. That was Putin's boss at the time, by the way, just so you know. Henrik Borovich, journalist and Khrushchev's brother-in-law, KGB agent involved in active measures against the West. Vitaly Churkin, KGB agent, diplomat, friend of Epp. I'm sick of just saying his name now. Brought Trump to Moscow in 1987, good friend of Putin. Ron Lauder hosted the 1986 lunch with both Trump and Churkin on behalf of Khrushchev. Opened the first Russian store in 1987, current friend of Putin. Obviously, we know Mr. Robert Maxwell worked with Khrushchev to exfiltrate the Communist Party funds to the West. I wonder who got those. Jeffrey himself plugged into this network prior to 1991 via a guy called Doug Lees, hooked up with Ghislaine, or whatever the fuck her name is, to continue operations weeks after Robert Maxwell's death, where he, you know, just fell off a yacht. Do you remember that? Just fell off a yacht. Everything, I mean, everything seems
Hang
to
on,
flow
Mockers.
through here. Yes?
So Maxwell, what are they saying? He was pushed off the yacht. I can't believe that.
Well, shocking enough, but yes, yeah. Somebody shoved him off his yacht. Obviously.
That was because he was getting far too leery and mouthy, wasn't it? And he was going to expose people, so he had to go. That's the reason for that, people.
Absolutely. When you get too big for your boots, you die. So yeah, just, you know, pointing this all out that it's all fucking Russian bullshit, all of it. Talking of Russian bullshit, this energy ceasefire was an absolute piece of bollocks. Just another op to make everybody think that Russia wouldn't be doing it. I mean, at one point I said, well, fingers crossed is like all we've got at the minute. You know, nobody's like convinced that they're really going to do this. And guess what? No, they didn't. In fact, even for the several days of not actually hitting directly heating and electricity facilities in the middle of, you know, Ukraine in a record cold winter, Nobody knew about any ceasefire until the orange guy himself talked about it. He simply made it up on the fly just to get himself another, dose of applause or something. However, the Russians quickly decided that worked out for them because it would, lull everybody into a false sense of security. I don't think Ukraine were believing it. I'm pretty sure that Zelensky wasn't believing it. I could tell by the way he sort of like, he was like, "Yeah, that's great. Thanks. That sounds brilliant. That would be lovely." But he was like, "It would be lovely, but I'm pretty sure it won't happen." Yeah, absolute, just bull nonsense. And they just waited until, the weather was even more severe and then attacked instead. So there's a lot that could be said, but it wasn't diplomacy. It was a vanity performance in front of a mirror. A man high on his own voice, pretending that he's moving history by speaking. By the way, I'll just say Anatoly Ukraine. He always knows what to say. This guy, I do like reading his comments. So he said here, while he was preening the machinery of terror, kept humming, cold nights, dark apartments, and targets already loaded. Moscow didn't agree to anything. They just indulged him for a few days so that they could build some extra missiles. Business as usual behind the theatre curtain. The crime isn't just a lie, it's how casually human suffering becomes the fuel for somebody's ego. And, there's the rest of us going, "Oh, this is great. We've got a ceasefire for a short period of time." No. Actual just drinking the Kool-Aid, absolute bullshit. And if we could just stop pretending that this man in the Oval Office is actually working for, America or even himself, because at this point he is just, he's carrying out, Putin's will, always has, always will do. And you know why, don't you? Because he knows where all the bodies are buried. Yeah, Putin knows exactly where the bodies are buried. And I think we should start digging up a few golf courses, to be absolutely fair. But who's going to do that, eh? So, it's also worth noting that Dugin, Dugin the philosopher, Putin's advisor, Mr. Bullshit himself, he was also in the files, and he thanked Epstein for, and I quote, disposable girls. Disposable girls. Just vile.
Disgusting, Mockers. Absolutely vile and disgusting.
No
Yeah,
child
sorry.
could be disposable. I'll just say that. And, I don't even like kids, but that just, my fucking stomach, honestly. These rich men who can't keep their trousers on, it just absolutely disgusts me. And it all comes down to the same thing, doesn't it? Who rushing up? Because they know that these rich men can't keep their trousers on.
Because when you hear people start talking about other human beings in those sort of terms, you truly start to understand how vile and despicable they are. And I'm like you; they should all be taken out and castrated and left to bleed in the middle of the street. It's just unbelievable. Fucking believable.
Yeah, I believe in public justice for these people now. And, don't be putting them in jail. Oh, no. I want them to suffer and then be put in jail. So, let's have a bit more of an uplifting story, because I like this one. This story has just been cracking to me. This is beautiful. In the Donetsk region, a wounded Ukrainian soldier was captured by Russians. And during his capture, he managed to convince the Russians to surrender. You see, these two guys who had captured him, it turns out that their own comrades had already abandoned them. And so, well, they didn't know what to do anyway, but they just happened upon an injured man and they were like, "Oh, we've captured you." And after talking to them for a while, he realised that they'd been abandoned by their command. And so he said, "You know what? Would you like some hot food? Would you like to get, some proper socks?" I would imagine that it wouldn't take much at that point to convince them that, Ukraine would be a good place to surrender to. So one of them says, "I was looking after the wounded man. My own comrades had abandoned me. And when I realised there would be no help, I asked him, the Ukrainian soldier, to contact his comrades so that they could get us out. And I am grateful for the rescue." The wounded Ukrainian soldier was handed over to medics. However, it does appear that this is who Ukrainians are. And even for the enemy, they can show empathy in the right circumstances. So that just goes to show, doesn't it? Every day, I'm more convinced that Ukrainian people are going to win this because, well, just, incredible work that he managed to get these two guys to come with him. To say, you know what, it would be a lot easier if we just went to the Ukrainian side. And you wouldn't be tortured and hung from a tree like a piñata. You'd actually be fed, treated like a human. And they took him up on it. And I just think that's beautiful. So let's have a short series of guys who have disappeared. And rightly so. So they fucking should. So the Defense Forces of Ukraine have eliminated one of the heroes of Russia, a Dagestan native. This is his name, Muslimov. Because, they're really imaginative with their naming conventions in Russia and the surrounding areas. Muslimov. Yes, I know. He actively took part in the occupation of Ukrainian territories, for which he was personally awarded a Gold Star Medal by Russia's Minister of Defense, Mr. Belousov. Remember I mentioned him before? Somebody just said, if J.K. Rowling came up with a Muslim character, Muslimov, indeed. Yes, he's a good riddance to genocidal rubbish, basically. So there's him eliminated. And then we've got this, Ukraine's Defense Intelligence reports that the armed forces of Ukraine have also eliminated Russian war criminal Serhiy Zotov. Call sign Bishk, who was involved in the killing of civilians and the abuse of Ukrainian prisoners of war. So Zotov served in Russia's 35th Motorized Rifle Brigade and headed a barrier unit tasked with tracking down and dragging back deserters. That's nice, isn't it? So this is good on lots of levels because it actually, it gives a reprieve to some of the Russians themselves as well. This is a little bit of info from the other day that shows how things are going on the Russian side here. Russian Z-bloggers reported that Andrei Sirotchuk, maybe? Call sign Eagle, that's easier to say. A battalion commander with the 121st Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 6th Division of the Russian Armed Forces killed a group of his own soldiers with an FPV drone strike because he decided they were moving too slowly. So, he was awarded the title Hero of Russia for his unit's breakthrough into Kupiansk and the liberation of Kupiansk, which obviously is a fantasy somewhere. Despite this, he himself has never set foot in Kupiansk. However, Oh my goodness gracious me. Major General cannot say his name. Let me see. Xenofontov, maybe. Commander of the 68th Division, appointed Eagle commander of his 1486 Rifle Regiment. And he decided that he couldn't wait for his guys to walk faster, so he would just lose all decorum and take them out with his own drone, because that's going to help. That's really going to help people willing to go forward. Yeah, no, that's not going to help. Now, I will also note that everybody who says that Ukraine is not winning, well, they're a little bit misguided, because I can see that Russia is definitely not winning a lot more. So one of the reasons for this is Ukraine is 1/28th of the size of Russia and is literally fighting for its life, holding a larger army with more resources at bay. They're not losing. Russia is not winning a war that it should have been a walk in the park. They should have literally rolled over Ukraine and carried on moving without much of a blip. And that's what they expected. And they found that Ukraine's a bit more spiky than they realised. And when they put their foot down, they got hurt. They really should have won this war already. And that's why we have the lovely Gherkin continuing to doom. And he basically says this is going to happen just like it did for Mr. Milosevic, Slobodan Milosevic, what a top name. I think also mentioned in the Epstein files, along with everyone else, So Russians' top leadership will face the same fate as Slobodan Milosevic, a trial in The Hague and prison. This was written by Mr. Gherkin on his channel. Was it though? Was it not somebody who wrote it for him? Because Mr. Gherkin, he's in prison. So he reacted angrily to Moscow's agreement to a so-called energy truce. But of course, remember, he's a controlled mouthpiece. So he's there to, question the government on behalf of the people, so that the people don't have to. And so he says, I don't know what our leadership is counting on. Forgiveness, reconciliation, there won't be any of that. It will all end like Milosevic. So that's good. The irony is that Gherkin himself has already been sentenced in The Hague to life imprisonment for the downing of the Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 in 2014. So, there's that as well. But note how he came out and immediately criticised the government and said, how could they do this sort of thing? And then it turns out that, it wasn't that sort of thing at all. No, it was not. It was just a big fucking lie. Now, Russia hit Ukraine's energy grid again yesterday. And it actually made it to the newspapers, would you believe? I know, I was shocked as well. But in particular, I think it was, I'm going to say Kharkiv. Combined heat and power plant number 5 was basically completely and utterly fucked. It's a technical term. Weapons were packed with shrapnel designed to cause maximum harm in the middle of winter, with temperatures around -20. The consequences are particularly severe. Now, it's nice to, urge the international community to urgently help and place additional pressure on Russia, but it's all fucking words until we take some action. Nice of Mr. Rutte to turn up, though, wasn't it? And stand around looking useful. He did comment, though, that the attack was no military value whatsoever, and it was just literally civilians. Well, that's nice, but what's the point in standing there and whining about it? We have two tasks: stop the Russian Shadow Fleet and give Ukraine long-range weapons. Those two things, and we can't seem to do either of those. It's a bit like, cameraman, you had one job. When he's looking at the sky and he should be looking at what's going on. So empty talk is part of the problem, not part of the solution. We could also close the sky over Ukraine, or at least partially. Yes, we could. We could also help Ukraine intercept drones and missiles. Yes, we could. But, again, all this hot air coming out of mouths, it is just so much more preferable to actually doing something. I'm sorry, but I can fart better decisions than some of us can fucking make in our meetings. 4 years ago,
Because what
Ukraine
did
had to close the
oh, sorry.
fucking sky. Sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say. So Bruder was talking to the Rada yesterday. What did he actually say? Because like you, I think it was just all hot air and bullshit. Just a bit of backslapping and then a clap and off he went. He didn't actually say or do anything, did he?
Well, he placated with the same bullshit, and so nah. I mean, I don't even care what he said at this point, to be honest, because I'm fuming. The whole point is we should be, seizing them Russian tankers. We should be all of that. Now, he did turn up, of course. And there's another thing, joining NATO. We could be inviting Ukraine to join NATO. Please join us. You obviously have, all the knowledge and experience. Please join us. That would actually provide the best possible protection and significantly strengthen the alliance. Ukraine would strengthen the alliance, not, us strengthening Ukraine. So it's all very well and good when he comes to the Rada and says, we stand with Ukraine and we're going to help you survive.
It's all a farce. Let's keep it real.
Fuck off, bitch. That was that Sam woman, I take it. Why is it and I'm sorry about this, Americans, but why is it when we let an American up onto the panel, they're nothing but fucking rude?
I'm not
So,
always rude.
no, that's true, but you do butt in. So if we could just ban that bitch from,
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, cheers. Honestly, I knew she was going to be trouble before she'd even come up, by the way. That's why I denied her twice already. If you could just watch what I'm doing, that would be great. Sorry, but, that's why. Anyway, it's fucking delusion that we think that, doing all this talking is going to help. Yeah? So less talking, more doing. So where was I? That's fucking throwing me off again. Motherfucking rude bastards. Anyway, all these promises to, do this or don't do this, it doesn't fucking matter. It really doesn't matter. We have to do stuff, and Estonia tells us how to do stuff by actually doing stuff. Grabbing that flipping ship. Also, Lviv. No water, no heating, no electricity, -10. That's Lviv on the western side. Just so as you know. It makes me ever so fuming. Oh, I'm seeing this. British police are gearing up to arrest Mr. Mandelson. Whoops. So, Andriy Sybiar this morning is initiating amendments to the IAEA statute because they don't do fuck all either. They have no response when a state deliberately undermines the conditions for safe and secure use of nuclear energy, and yet they continue to exercise full governance rights within the agency. So Ukraine is proposing a clear mechanism of disqualifying Russia from the IAEA decision-making. It's not about politics, it's about credibility and safety. And he's instructed the permanent mission in Vienna to submit the proposals to the IAEA and circulate them amongst member states. And Mr. Grossi has been sort of like pretending to do his job for a long time, but they literally cannot say the word Russia, can they? They can't say that it was Russians that did this attack. It's amazing, isn't it, how they just fucking clowns all over the place. Clowns. And I have to laugh that the only comeback to this that some Russian twat has who's pretending to be in Ontario, but I can tell you now he's in somewhere else, is moaning about Stefan Bandera, who's been dead a long time. Come on, guys. Surely you've got better arguments than that. Yes, surely you've got better arguments than that. So, Gabrielas Landesbergers also is pretty much on the same line of thinking as me. Every damaged power station becomes a monument to our cowardice. We could have helped Ukrainians more to push Russia back, but we didn't. And we must. And it's absolutely true. We absolutely bloody must. I feel the absolute horrific shame. Well, shall we see what Ukraine have been doing in response to this yesterday? Because this has been getting, over the top. So Ukraine did respond, and they knocked out power in both Belgorod and Bryansk, I believe, by hitting power stations there. So Belgorod, really nice footage of all the lights going out. So there was a missile strike by Ukraine on the Bruzhenskaya electric substation, which was captured on camera. So that's a lovely view. In addition,
just as an aside, Mockers, so
yeah.
the Belgorod thermal power plant is currently burning to the ground, people. And they've lost that. Absolutely done, finished, done.
Good. I'm glad to see that, or at least hear about it. I'll see it shortly, no doubt. So, in addition, due to the blackout after the missile strike on the power substations in Belgorod, queues formed at gas stations for gasoline because everybody was like, I think we'd better leave. Yeah, there's been some nice videos actually of people just, having a blackout. And, well, you know what? Volya can fucking suffer at this point. I'm up to 99 with it. You know what I mean? I have no sympathy for them anymore at all. Now, Gladkov has reported serious damage to an infrastructure facility, but according to him, there's no casualties, and the consequences are being clarified and all that nonsense. Yeah, just so you know. There was also a nice fire sale in St. Petersburg yesterday, and smoke was all around the capital shopping centre. 500 people had to be evacuated from the building, And it would seem that, that there is an awful lot of this shopping centres very strangely just burning, as though there's some insurance jobs going around, perhaps. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Now it is that time for the numbers and shit. So should we do the numbers and shit? The answer is yes. Yes, we should. That sounds great, Mockers.
Sorry, I was trying to get you a picture of Belgorod power plant. I do apologise, because yes, please, can we have the numbers? Sorry.
It's all right. It just takes me a second to find them, and I do need a tiny gap. So, I've run out of patience. Can you tell? I don't
Yes,
actually know what
so
that woman said. I don't actually know what she said, and I really want to know what she said.
no. So she said, "Keep it real, guys." So I do apologise, and it was my fault. I brought her up, and I didn't know that you knocked her down twice. So, but won't happen again. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, well, I am keeping it real right here by telling the truth. Yeah, so she can keep it real in my fucking boot list, bitch. So anyway, where were we? It's the 4th of February, all day. Will you two stop fighting? What have you got? Oh my God, she's got a mouse. Have you got a mouse? You better not have just released that under my... She has. She's just lost it under the sofa. You absolute little monkey face. I'm really glad you've done that. Great. So now they're going to be chasing a mouse around the front room because she's just brought a mouse in and released it under the sofa. For fuck's sake. Amazing. So where were we? I've got numbers. Yes, I remember that now. 780 liquidated personnel. These have gone down over the last couple of days, and I think I know why. Because Russians are not sending as many forward because you know how they've got a bit of a problem, that they're running out of people. Well, they've been having to regroup quite a lot, and one of the issues with that is you can't send your men forward while you're regrouping. They try, they have been trying, but so I would say that that is a sign of the times. We also have 4 tanks and 7 armoured combat vehicles. So, they still have those things. Have you not found it? Don't be looking at me like that. Go find it. Go find it. Go get it. Good God. I'm going to be chasing a mouse around the house later, aren't I? Amazing. What's this, though? 60 artillery systems. 60 artillery systems. Yes, that's right. Lots of them. 1 MLRS and 1 air defense system, because, always good to have those on. I'm going to just skip over the air stuff and go straight to 211 vehicles and fuel tanks. Ooh, that's a lot of vehicles. I guess those 780 guys were not walking yesterday. And 4 special equipment. It's been a while since we've seen a good chunk of special equipment like that, isn't it? 4 special equipment. So the air attack. This is what Ukraine shot down within the last 24 hours. 40 cruise missiles, 40 cruise missiles, and 1,355 drones of various types. That I can pretty much confirm is number 1. That is a record. Pretty sure of that. Prince, if you want to absolutely check, but I'm pretty sure. Okay.
I apologize. I'm dealing with what? Which one do I want to check? I apologize.
1,355 drones.
That I believe you're right. I believe that is a record. Let me check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is too. So, what did we have last night in the overnight air attack? Because more and more this overnight report is almost meaningless because they're happening all the time. Will you find the mouse, the pair of you? I've got 2 cats in the room now, and neither of them can find the mouse, even though I know where it is. Bloody idiots. Anyway, out of 105, 88 enemy UAVs shot down or suppressed. So that's 12 and 5. 17. Oi! Volya! Stop it! Good God. Do you hear that then? That's because one of them wants the mouse and the other one doesn't have it. Goodness gracious me, that frightened me to death. Thank you.
Tis a record. Tis a record by a long shot.
Thanks.
I'll
That
send
was
you a
right behind my head, that screaming cat, by the way. So where were we? Oh yes.
Marcus,
Shot down. Yeah.
I'll send you. This is a rough morning. Here's the screenshot. It is a record by a long shot.
Yeah, I thought so. 88 enemy UAVs of out of 105, so that's 17 were got through or got past. 17 strike UAVs were recorded at 14 locations, as well as falling debris at 5 further locations, and the attack obviously continues. Yes, so yesterday was also a record, by the way, so just so you know. So yesterday was a record, and today another one. Remember when I said 1,000 drones a day that Ukraine were going to be having to deal with? And look, here it is. We've got there, and I'd just like to point out that we could have stopped this, and yet we don't take our opportunities to do so, do we? And that makes me really fucking mad. Anyway, I've got something else I want to ask, but I'm just going to leave that alone. I'll come back to that later. So, Mr. Fedorov has confirmed that the Starlink verification process in Ukraine is continuing. They are actively adding terminals to the whitelist to ensure their operation. So it says it's critically important to verify the terminals used for defence purposes as well. And to do this, the military needs to transfer their Starlink terminal numbers via the Delta system to the whitelist. As a reminder, you do not need to put your own civilian terminals on the balance of the military unit or transfer account data. It is enough to just add the terminal number to the list so it continues to work. Later, they will build on the process of blocking so that they receive data for registering terminals in real time. Commanders at all levels should organise the verification of their Starlink terminals to ensure continuity and stability of communication. So why is Mr. Musk doing this? Well, you know what? His reputation's been kind of shredded recently. And he's like, look at me, I'm a good guy, really. I think that's part of why he's doing this. He needs some good press. And, one of the things that all of these dirty PDFs have been doing is, I'm not accusing him of being one, I'm just saying one of the things that all these dirty PDFs have been doing, especially Mr. Epp himself, is working with people who can, shall we say, scrub your reputation. So basically, even after he'd been convicted, he was working hard to basically change his reputation from being, just that dirty PDF to a guy who is more of a philanthropist. And yes, okay, so I did diddle some children, and I'm just one of those guys, who just can't keep his bits in his pants. But I'm such a good guy. Just look at all this philanthropy I've been doing. I'll just say, go and watch the interview with Steve Bannon that's been released, the segments of that interview, and you will see how he is literally trying to scrub his reputation. And then goes on to say he's literally the worst PDF in the world. So, it kind of, I think that bit was supposed to be cut out, but for some reason it's been released. So that's nice. And also all the chats about, we'll be meeting with some friends in France or whatever. And he's like, oh, a PDF convention, which basically tells you that all his friends were into that shit. Yeah. Hey, Dan. Hello, my lovely.
Good morning. Hold on, I gotta get down the stairs. I don't want to wake up the household. I was under the covers and I woke up late. I'm so sorry. I missed your rant. I know you probably did it for 40 minutes. I don't blame you. I just wanted to remind everybody as they're digging deep into these massive files that were released, these people were saying they're philanthropists. They're not really philanthropists because the bulk of their philanthropy was being financed by the Kremlin. So I think we need to point that out too. So they were all bent over for you know who, Russia. Thank you. Keep going. You're doing great.
Well, we
Couldn't have
try.
put it better myself. Sorry. Well said, Dan.
Now then, Mr. FireFella, do tell me about some fires because I really could do with a cuppa. I would love a cuppa.
Well, you go and have a cuppa. So the Belgorod, oh God, brain fart, is burning down. But actually, so people were going on about why Donald Trump didn't uh, go for Greenland. So why didn't Trump suddenly back down on Greenland? Because he was shown not a map but a calculator. So apparently somebody's bigging up Root here. So Root made it clear to Trump a Danish pension fund had begun dumping US debt securities. This is the most interesting part. The EU was ready to do the same on a massive scale. That would mean the collapse of the US government bond market, a spike in interest rates, financial panic. The bill, not millions, but tens of trillions of dollars. Apparently, Trump is no idiot. I would beg to differ on that. Like Putin, he understands only the language of force. Now, that I totally agree with. This time, the force wasn't tanks, but finance. Suddenly, Greenland stopped being vital. A fairy tale about a new deal emerged. But the simple truth is nothing new. All old agreements with Denmark remain in place. Trump just calls them new to hide his retreat. When someone can crash your economy, heroism ends very quickly, which I thought was poetic. But also, so people are going on about the Russians taking ground and all this, but their latest cavalry attack in Provosk, and I'll put a picture up there, and there are horses there, people. But what I do know is none of the horses are on the ground. They're either riderless or still got riders on them, but there are plenty of Vatniks on the ground. And during the latest attack on Bavorsk, a Russian cavalry platoon, for God's sake, where did they get all them from, was ambushed by Ukrainian FPV drones and completely annihilated. No one Vatnik survived. Most of the horses did, who were left to wander off into the bush, which actually lifted my little spirits a little bit there. So I was quite pleased with that as well. And also, people, I've seen this going around quite a lot. There's a video, and I don't know if it's AI, and I'll be upset if it is, but there's a, there's a little 15-second video of a new delivery system that the Russians have done. Depravity all over the place at the moment, both Russian and American and English. It's just everywhere you look is depravity. It's just doing my head in, but there you go. Just thought it'd make you giggle for a second.
Indeed. Now, I'm just looking at this I'm not sure why Ukraine are still continuing in these absolute nonsense negotiations, but for some reason they appear to be. I can't decide if this is his surname or his Savchenko, Mr. Savchenko over here, describing the head of the Russian delegation. Now, he said neither is inclined to give long lectures on the root causes of the conflict, like Lavrov or Putin, a former Ukrainian official told Politico. Another expert said that Arakamia's participation in the talks provided a noticeable change for the better, that they weren't just lecturing on this bullshit, basically. But it still doesn't matter, does it? They're not there in good faith. They haven't been there in good faith at all. However, they say they're cautiously optimistic that there's a real chance of ending the war by spring. Well, there is, if Russia falls over. Now, apparently, the whole point is that they've changed their tone, especially since Mr. Budanov entered the room. It's amazing that, isn't it? They are, I was going to say, yeah. A former Ukrainian official, however, speaking to Politico on condition of anonymity, was much less optimistic, but even he had to agree that the mood had changed and Russia's tone at the negotiating table was less bombastic. That had changed too. But their change in tone just could be another attempt to, lull people into a false sense of security or something. I don't know. I don't necessarily see it ending by spring, but I do see them having massive problems by spring. So, take your pick on what the deciding factor is there. But there is even Russians themselves now saying, my God, we need to get out of this war because it's fucking killing us. And not just in a physical sense, in a sense that the country is going to fall apart. Not that it wasn't already, but it's going to fall apart a lot faster. Now, there's going to be talks held in Abu Dhabi today, apparently, and it says here they might be more promising than expected. Are you still looking for the mouse, baby? Because I can see it. I can see it. Let me just see if I can grab it. Go away, you. Oh, I've got a mouse. Or at least, yeah, that's its tail.
Well,
I've got a mouse. So
well
give
done,
me a
you.
minute and I'll put him outside.
So I don't know if you can see, but Dan, you got your hand up, sir. Do you want to say while
Yeah,
Mockers is sorting the mouse out? Go
yeah.
ahead.
Mockers can think about this. Tell me if I'm wrong, but when I read that and I was thinking, Budanov's learned over the years, a very smart young man, um, and the other guy that they just hired. I was thinking, now they've learned the Russian trick. And I hope while they're working on long range missiles, because now they know from Ruda's another stupid visit by NATO that they're going to drag their heels and play games back and forth, they're going to start stringing them along. And they're going to play their game only at them, Russia and the United States. They're just going to play along with them while it gives them time to work on long range weapons. Because I imagine they have some of these Patriots and other long range missiles. And I think they're indoctrinating them. That's my opinion. What do you think?
No, I'm of your opinion, absolutely. So I think whilst the Russians have been stalling on the talks for a little while, I think everyone's starting to see the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is Russia's going to lose. It's just a question of when. And even the Russians are starting to feel the pinch on the front lines now. Uh, they're not taking anyone. Their attacks are down. They're not taking half the land that they took last month, and they're running out of people. So I think they're seeing it, and I think Ukraine is of the opinion. Actually, if we keep this going a little bit longer, just stall them out a little bit longer, then the fall may come quicker than we all think. And like we say, there will be no fall until there's a fall. It's like a crash, isn't it? There's not a financial crash until there's a financial crash. It all happens really quickly. might be a lot of talking about it beforehand and lots of preamble and this, that, and the other leading up to it. But actually, when it happens, it'll be quick and swift. I don't know, Mockers. What do you think?
Yeah, they're still trying to hide how awful it is, but it's very difficult for them to do so. They've been sugarcoating this thing for so long that it's virtually entirely made of sugar now. Yeah, they're let's just say that it's not going to continue to be as easy for them in the future. Retail chains are reporting that they have no meat to put on shelves. That's very USSR, isn't it? Is this a shop that has no fish? No, this is the shop that has no meat. The shop that has no fish is over the road. Domestic farmers have been accused of not producing enough pork. I mean, rude. With the shortage being the most acute in the Far East, of course, because, who cares about that? Those guys over there in the Far East. I mean, China's going to take them over, so, I think Russia's just given up on them guys. So a representative of the Amur region said they have empty shelves. Oh dear. Remember how we kept warning about this? That sooner or later, it doesn't lead to, difficulties. It just leads to empty shelves. All this like messing about with making it not profitable to do anything such as business just leads to people just not running those businesses. Retailers are also concerned about the state of poultry farms. Retail chains are contacting them with complaints about the lack of sufficient product selection. I'm just going to say sufficient product selection. They sell poultry. So poultry products. What else do they want? Are they saying they're not getting enough of chickens and eggs and things like that? I'm assuming that's the sort of thing that they would be. And there's not enough selection, in which case, what? You're not getting legs or thighs. You're just getting whole chickens, or maybe the other way around. Maybe you're not getting whole chickens, just chunks. I don't know. Either way, they don't like it. So the Amur region presented statistics to senators, estimating that their pig population plummeted by 84% between 2018 and 2025. Wonder why that was. Anyway, I can only assume it's because they weren't looking after them properly. And people maybe stopped selling them livestock, They wanted to be self-sufficient, didn't they? Well, guess what self-sufficiency does? It does this. So from 29,900 in 2018 down to 4,600 just in the Amur region, by the way, not in the whole of Russia, by 2025. Self-sufficiency in meat in the region fell from 82% to, well, they say 63.1%, which I think is a lie. I think it's more like a third, if that. While the Far Eastern Federal District as a whole is estimated to be only 37% self-sufficient. There you go. That's more like a real figure. Youch. In this regard, additional measures to support pig and poultry farmers are needed, similar to the measures that they've already put in place for dairy farming. Awkward. If these measures are laid out and implemented through the Ministry for the Development of the Russian Far East, investors will be able to come to the Far East. Oh dear, they remain very what's it called? Hopeful. That word. You know what all of these things need, don't you, Mr. FireFella? Do you know what they all need?
No, Mockers, please tell us.
Money. Do you know what they're never going to receive? Because they've even started paying less to the soldiers themselves now.
Are you trying to tell me the second army in the world is running out of money, Mockers? I'm shocked. I'll go to the bottom of our stairs. Don't believe you.
Shocking. I know they're running out of money. They started running out of money some time ago because they bought too many yachts, and now the chickens are coming home to roost. In fact, no, they're not. Actually, the chickens have gone. People ate them. So this is what's being said in this publication. There is a problem, a real meat shortage right now. Retail chains are coming in and raising the issue of a shortage of produce. There is nothing to put on the shelves, and everything we do receive is very expensive. Yes, that is exactly what we expected from the way you're going about things. Maybe you should stop warring with your neighbours and concentrate on feeding yourselves. But, where's the fun in that, eh? This was noted by a representative of the Amur region complaining at a meeting of the Upper House's Agricultural Committee. In contrast, Commersant put out an article very recently saying that Russia was overproducing pork. Who do you believe? Now, one thing that they may have been doing is producing pork to export. Because who gives a shit about, their own countrymen? But if we can export that pork to somewhere who is paying with munitions, like artillery shells and stuff. Let me see, China and North Korea would probably make a deal like that. They'd probably appreciate a deal like that. So, you're just thinking about who they do business with. They probably are exporting an awful lot of their pork production and not sending it to the Far East. So look at that. They're literally starving people in the Far East of protein while doing a barter trade for artillery shells. If that doesn't tell you that Russia's got problems, I don't know what does. And of course, the ruble is increasingly overvalued. And domestic shortages are happening while the price to a producer is dropping. And if you want cheap meat, you might have to just chop off a leg and eat that instead. So price controls are very bad for livestock as well, because, nobody's got any money to look after the livestock. So they're having major shortages, and that's just that. Now, I have a little, it's not a joke, but it should be. Prince Heather, you'll like this one. In Russia, women are having to give up buying cucumbers and tomatoes. Just 2 tomatoes and a cucumber, just put them on the table and tell me, is that funny? Because to me, that's funny. Anyway, they're having to give them up due to food prices. So there'll be no more jokes about cock and balls, because they're just too expensive. It's funny that it mentions women specifically. Are there different food prices in Russia for men? Or is it just women's work? Is that what it is? Shopping. Cabbage and potato prices are also flying to the moon. Sucks to be them, doesn't it? But yes, it's goodness. There is here we go. Fresh produce. Fresh cucumber with a free 90-day return. Would you want it returned if somebody had had it for 89 days?
A free 90-day return, Mockers, come on.
No.
Well, indeed. If it lasted that long, you'd be lucky, wouldn't you? Anyway, I think they just they messed up their website. Oh, here we go. You know how that slavery thing that slavery thing went out of fashion some time ago. Yeah, it didn't. It didn't, folks. Slavery just became quieter and didn't discriminate based upon your skin color. In Yakutia, a father and son have been, well, I'm assuming they've been arrested. Yes. And the reason being because they had slaves chained up on a farm. Because slavery is still quite the problem in Russia. And you got to be careful when you go out drinking at night that you don't end up enslaved. So the worst situation is that of a 54-year-old man suffering from mental illness. To prevent his escape, he was chained specifically to a cattle pen and beaten to the point of having broken ribs. That's nice, isn't it? So that's goodness. Just putting this out there. Now, did you know that Mr. Muammar Gaddafi had a son in Libya? I say
Yes.
that. I say that in the past tense because he's dead. Unknown assailants have murdered him. He was Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, and he is no more. He is no more. Now, apparently, there was fighting between some armed groups in the area, and he just happened to be in the way. Or did he? I just, these things happen. Now then, the Russian Orthodox Church have come out and blamed women for everything. That's right. It's all our fault. And good. I'm glad. I'll take that rap. So, the Russian Orthodox Church have blamed evil sorcerers, evil spirits, and evil women for continuing the war. Why? Because Russian women have had abortions. That's the only reason. Now, I'll be honest, if I lived in Russia and I found myself preggers, I would be throwing myself down the stairs at the first opportunity to try and get rid of that child because, my God, would you want to bring a child into that? I'm just saying. Now, I'd just like to point out as well that all of these people who he named have no ability to withdraw Russian troops from Ukrainian territory. So, none of them are actually responsible for continuing the war, especially not the evil spirits. No, they're actually yeah. But yeah, it's all their fault. You know how they just blame some random. Well, they've got to the point of blaming random spirits now because they've run out of people to blame because they've probably murdered all the other people that they were blaming. Goodness. Now, remember the Oligarchs Union? Well, the Oligarchs Union, also known as the Russian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs, have come out and done a survey. And it ain't good. They say the main constraint on Russian companies and their operations now is non-payment. So non-payment by any of the people that they do business with and their counterparts. And oh dear, is it going to cost you money? It's going to cost them money. So they wrote out a list of the things which are making things difficult for them to operate and continue to be oligarchs, which is a shame, isn't it? So non-payment, a decline in demand, because believe it or not, people don't have any spare money to be buying no frivolous shit. They can't even buy cucumbers and tomatoes these days. A lack of working capital. In other words, they don't have any free money either because it's all tied up in businesses. Bit like Mr. Musk, who is scrambling to sell one of his companies to another one of his companies, and then to another one of his companies, so that they can get some more of that lovely, lovely welfare money from the government to keep everything afloat. Yes, For a man who is apparently the richest man in the world, he has an awful lot of money problems. I'll just put it that way. Anyway, yeah, so lack of working capital because it's all tied up in, projects, war projects. And unavailability of loans because nobody's giving loans anymore, or if they are, they're giving them at such a ridiculous rate that you don't want them. And of course, the thing which is, inevitable in life, taxes. There are also some other issues, but let's just go through these. So the second most pressing issue was a decline in demand from the surveyed company's goods and services, reported by up to 38% of respondents, versus up to 19% in the year prior. Third place is the most pressing business issues was accompanied by a lack of working capital because nobody's got any savings left. Fourth place went the availability of borrowed funds. Obtaining credit has been the most difficult in the first and second quarters. That's 2025, I believe they're referring to. But the severity of the problem began to ease in the second half of the year. Did it? Well, it did a tiny bit due to the key rate being reduced, but not really. Taxes. Always a sensitive issue for businesses, round out the top 5 constraints. Last year, companies, despite the increase of the corporate tax rate from 20% to 25%, were less concerned about the growing fiscal burden because, they're concerned about everything else a lot more. So it was worth noting that taxes had gone up, but there were also some other issues. And those are this. Also on the list of the problems are the inability to purchase new equipment and technology due to import restrictions. I wonder why they've got import restrictions on them. The reduction of investment programs, because nobody wants to give you their money anymore. Sharp rise in prices for Russian-produced products. Yes, because, well, also, I'd like to point out that those products are sort of like a little bit back in time as well. So they can produce stuff, they just can't produce modern stuff. And it costs them more to produce it, so you're going to be paying more for stuff that isn't even up to date. The impact of sanctions. Oh, they do mention sanctions eventually. And the deterioration in terms of supply of raw materials and components. Again, I wonder why. Could it be that nobody wants to do business with you anymore because you've turned into a bad bet? Yes, that would be it. Let me just, yes. Apparently, oh, right, okay. Yeah. Apparently, looking up the word baby seal in French will make you chuckle, so feel free to do that at any point. Now, let's have a little look at what is happening with the Russian Railway December 2025 loading thread. Prune has had to adjust the scale downwards in order to even add January. And January is, much below where everybody else started. So previous years have come down a little bit each year, with 2024 obviously being 2025 obviously being the least of all. But January 2026 is like, was off the bottom of the scale. So that's how bad their loading is. Goodness gracious. She did a big expansion on this in the December 25 loading thread, which we went through, and some explanations as to why she stopped gathering historical data for the individual segments, mainly because they kept changing them, they kept lying. So this is the lowest January loading since 2010. and she's done a little update which basically says everything is going in a downward trend. And she said oddities and problems to watch out for. Now, I believe we actually went through that thread, but let me just remind you of a few things. Yes, so examples from the Soviet Union and problems resulting from central planning. A good car mechanic knows what problems usually occur with certain types of vehicles. And these are things to remember with statistics. And Russia is in a unique position economically, so don't expect them to act like any other country. All sorts of things can be going on under the curtain. So January loading is always lower than the rest of the year because there's a 2-day working week at the start of the year. However, the data for December wasn't great either. So so it's tough. That drop is massive compared to what it was. Also, there's a Russian central bank repo auction being held within the next, or was held within the last 24 hours, one or the other. So we'll see how that helps. It could be a big one. That's not going to help. Spoiler alert, it's not going to help. Repo auctions is basically where the bank is buying up these bad debts, and, well, it's not going to do the banking any good either. This is why they've stopped giving out loans, because they don't have any liquidity left. They've also been told that they can't give loans unless they have the liquidity to cover them, because otherwise they will literally go under, bankrupt. Bankrupting the banks. Nice. One of them's already gone, by the way. At least one. A lot of small ones went some time ago, but one of the bigger ones went recently, and I can't remember its name, but let's just say, be rest assured, things are not great. Now, Belarus has become Russia's largest supplier of fish and seafood by the end of 2025. Belarus, with all its coastline there. For
I
anybody
was
who
going to
doesn't
say,
know,
Mockers,
in front of them.
in Belarus landlocked, where are they getting the fish from then? Who's selling the fish to the Belarusians, God's sake?
Well, the thing is, there's nothing to stop people selling food to Russia, or Belarus. But what they've done is they're sanctions. Well, no, they're not sanctions dodging. They're they do have some fish farms. They have a large aquaculture or fish farming industry worth about $420 million per year. And the bulk of its production is now being exported to Russia. They do naturally have a large multiple marshland or bogs, which they have been, digging out into larger bodies of water and using that to, supplement their income. So they do indeed have fish production in Belarus, but, highly landlocked Belarus now providing all Russia's fish, virtually. So that's good to know, isn't it? It's good to know. I'm sorry, I'm just getting past some of the funnier stuff that is nothing to do with Russia. I'm going through Prune's details now. So, the government in Russia is urgently seeking 1.2 trillion rubles for the budget and the continuation of the war. That is a headline. And that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it? That A, they're continuing the war, have every plan to do so, and B, they don't have the money to do it, and they're literally trying to find 1.2 trillion rubles for the budget so that they can continue warring. This war may be over this year, just because Russia can't afford it. But things will probably get worse before they get better, because remember how we said, flailing of a dying man can always be worse. There we go. Yes, it was. Remember, I said one of the state-owned Russian banks was about to go under. Well, Gazprom Bank's Center for Economic Forecasting basically said, based on the current 2026 budget, which was considered optimistic back when they did it, they basically said that's not going to work. That's not going to work, and we're going to completely empty our funds. So you need to do something, please, soon. And the government then announced shortly after, here we go, we'd like another 1.2 trillion for the war, please. Find it. I have a feeling Gazprom Bank is not going to survive. So if you would like to purchase a home in Moscow, what do you think the size of your deposit would have to be?
Oh, 80, 90%. And Vatnik Soup's got his hand up. I don't know if you can see it or not.
I can, but it's 50%, which is, a bit less than what you were predicting there. But again, could be a lie. But that's what they're admitting to, 50%. Hey, Vatnik Soup, my friend. How's it going?
Good morning from Kiev. I wanted to comment on two topics you touched. First of all, the Belarusian fish. In the past, there was a famous case about the Belarusian shrimp. So what had happened before, I think 10 years back, there were all these sanctions, and then Russia counter-sanctioned all the food from Western Europe, so all the good cheeses, all the good wines, etc. They were not coming to Russia anymore for the ordinary public. Of course, Putin was hypocrite enough to secretly buy all that himself and stock up on good wines. But there was a huge scandal because you had a lot of evasion of these Russian sanctions. And people were getting rich on selling cheese. But the most famous one was actually the Belarusian sea shrimp. So that was sold for a long time in Russia. And then somebody said, like, hey, that's a bit strange. Belarus has no coastline. How can these shrimps be Belarusian? So, you see that these sanctions also, it also works the other way around. But what I really wanted to comment about is your statement about Gazprom Bank. Gazprom Bank has basically been the bank that has been laundering Putin's money and the cronies from Putin's money as well. So if there's one bank that in my eyes will always be saved, it's Gazprom Bank, because it's like it's been an important vehicle for Putin just to steal money from and to launder money from. So just that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're just, by the way, while you're at it, Gazprom Bank, let's have some more money off you. That's going to help. I mean, bless. So, that's not going to help them. Well, they're already talking about, the concerns. They're already talking about their concerns about how the bank's going to go. Sorry, I'm just amusing myself. In the background here, just checking something out. Fun times. So, remember India, who was the largest buyer of Russian oil? They've now decreased their purchases by over 71% year over year, just in January 2026. It's amazing how, when you do a proper deal with them, they actually decide to take the right option. Now, this drop was specifically due to the ban on Russian import of fuel in the EU from Russian oil. So basically, they did a deal with the EU just recently, and the EU said that our main stipulation is that you reduce that as much as possible, because we don't want to buy Russian derivatives from you anymore. You know, we probably still will, but you know, we've got to say it like we mean it. Again, very cynical I am. So India did reduce their purchase of Russian oil in January 2026 by 57% compared to previous times when they were just playing at it, really. Some of these purchases were replaced by US oil, Middle Eastern oil. Imports in India also rose by 20%. And the decrease in these purchases happened due to the EU ban on the import of fuel produced from Russian oil, which went into effect on January the 21st. So that would be a lot of the reason, because we were like, you know, we'll do lots of deals with you, India, but you got to stop that shit, or at least reduce it as much as possible. So January 2026 has marked a turning point for the Russian-Indian oil partnership, which was based on importing Russian crude, refining it and exporting it as fuel to the EU. You see, that no longer works because we see what you're doing there, you know? We spotted that. And, well, for a while, we were happy to ignore it because it was cheap. But now we're sort of like, you know, our morals have kicked in and we kind of have to, yeah, we have to sort of go with morals over money right now. So it's no longer working the way it used to. India is also diversifying their oil imports due to extra pressure from the US, but they weren't really following that until the EU got involved. Just saying that, you know, you think you're the major power of the entire world, but it's amazing when a whole bunch of countries who are sticking together, they decide to do something. And look, finally, we get some actual progress instead of just a token gesture. On February the 22nd, the orange guy said that Mr. Modi had notified him of his refusal to further purchase Russian oil. And in response, the US would then reduce tariffs on Indian goods from 25% to 18%. That'll make them slightly cheaper for the purchaser at the end. I mean, I don't quite understand what he thinks tariffs do, but he's certainly fucking over his own country with that stuff. Anyway, in 2025, India was indeed the largest buyer of Urals oil with a 75% share, which is a bit gross and disgusting, isn't it? The bulk of the imported volume was shipped to the port of Sika, from where the crude was delivered to the Reliance refinery in Jamnagar and the Bharat petroleum plant. A decline in Indian oil purchases has been initially started in the summer of 2025, after the Trump-a-lumper announced a 25% and then a 50% tariff on Indian goods due to their purchases of Russian oil. Again, I don't think that's his real intention. I think he just wants their money for himself. So, from September to December 25, Indian oil imports from Russia by sea were about 3.5 to 4 million barrels per day. Now, because they've stopped buying so much Russian oil tankers are sort of just floating around with nowhere to go, full of oil. And that's certainly putting a crimp on the shadow fleet because, you know, if you got nowhere to deliver to, what's the point? You're just a storage container at that point. So there's that. According to Russian analysts, the January decline in oil exports in India was a market reaction with a time lag due to the US sanctions because they don't want to give Europe any credit. Have you noticed? The steep discounts on Russian oil, however, did revive the interest of some Indian buyers at the end of January. Have you heard what they've been selling it for, FireFella? Did you hear the price that they went down to?
I'm thinking $20 a barrel.
It was 22 last time I looked, but yes, somewhere around there. So I'm not surprised because that is like just, well, it's more than giving it away, isn't it? more than giving it
Yeah.
away.
And
Now,
mockers. Hence why it's really important now that all, and I include the UK in this, we start taking the shadow fleet and putting them in docks and selling the stuff that's in them, so that they haven't got floating storage platforms all around the world, and we just cut off another stream of finance for them. That's really important, but we seem not to be doing it. What a shame.
well, the thing is, even selling it at that low price, it still gives them money because, while it's sat in a tanker, it's not worth anything. If they can sell it for something, it's better than getting nothing for it, isn't it? So, yes, you're absolutely right. It is imperative that we take out these tankers because, well, somebody's going to be tempted by that, most definitely, because, money over morals, apparently. So, from January the 1st to the 15th, 2026, Russian oil to India was sold with an 8.15 US dollar discount, the largest since July 2023. Now, it turns out that India would rather, however, replace Russian oil with Canadian or US oil and perhaps some from Venezuela. Some private Indian refineries, however, do continue purchasing Russian oil, even if the state-owned companies refuse, because of the very tempting, very low price. The current reduction of exports to India is happening at a time Russian exports to Asia are steadily being directed to a unknown buyer. Who's that then? Unknown buyer. We have to go and rip the mask off that unknown buyer because I can guarantee that there's something going on there. And I would love to know what's going on there. Now, about this Estonian capture of a Russian ship, this isn't oil. This isn't a shadow tanker. This is a smuggling operation. And they're looking for, chips and sanctioned goods. So customs officials, along with the Navy and a special police unit, detained the cargo ship, the Baltic Spirit, sailing from Ecuador to St. Petersburg under the Bahamian flag. The crew, 23 Russian citizens, are currently arrested. Authorities will now conduct a thorough inspection of the cargo. Estonian authorities explicitly emphasise this does not belong to the Russian Shadow Fleet and is not subject to EU sanctions. It is purely relating to smuggling, not to sanction circumvention, such as a shadow tanker would do. Now, a straight route to St. Petersburg with 23 Russians on board. Estonia didn't detain a ship. They interrupted the continuous pipeline of goods to Russia, which they shouldn't be receiving. Because a border's optional, apparently. The real story isn't what they say, because it will be sanctioned goods. It's just that, they're saying, no, this isn't anything to do with sanctions. It's just a smuggling of sanctioned goods. How many cases of ordinary smuggling does it take before we accept that this is a systematic and continuous pipeline of goods that they should not be receiving due to sanctions? We just don't want to come out and say it, do we? So anyway, good on Estonia for actually enforcing some law. Doesn't really matter what flag it's flying. Smuggling is smuggling. And, all of this maritime nonsense from Russia is making us all a lot less safe. So if we could, continue with this. This ship wasn't even on the sanctions list. It's just pure, what's it called? In your face smuggling, basically. Now, how long do you think it takes to get information out of Russia to confirm that something has been destroyed? Think it might take a while.
Yeah, because they shut the internet down, Mockers. They're trying to stop people knowing what's been blown up and what's not been blown up. Unless you're going to tell us something different, of course.
How about 3.5 years? The loss of an entire Russian... Go on. Yeah.
No, Jesus H. Christ. So, just as a side, the official death total at Chernobyl via the Russian Federation is still 34. But yeah, go on.
Exactly. So, the loss of an entire Russian S-400 division remained completely unknown for 3.5 years. On the night of July the 4th, 2022, one of the very first HIMARS strikes on a Russian military base in the Donetsk region took place. During that strike, the entire Russian S-400 air defense system was destroyed. The loss of which is only confirmed now because a couple of Russians decided to record a low-quality propaganda video trying to pass off this destroyed S-400 system and all its component parts as Ukrainian. So Russian videos make it possible to identify there were 6 S-400 launchers destroyed in this particular row. However, it is noted there were up to 10 launchers at the site at the time, and it is very possible that all of them were destroyed. So they falsely presented an entire destroyed S-400 air defense system battery as destroyed Ukrainian equipment. However, it's very clear from experts looking at it that it is not NATO equipment, it is their own equipment. And somebody actually says, "Is this NATO equipment?" And he says, no, it's ours. So they knew for a fact that it was theirs. Also to note, they have been delivering the dead bodies of their own soldiers to Ukraine and claiming them as fallen Ukrainian soldiers. So what do you expect? Also, it is worth noting that while they're stood there going, "This is NATO equipment," there's a Z painted on one of these flipping things, which has quite clearly been blown up. They didn't even remove the Z marking. So they'll never miss an opportunity to make themselves look like a bunch of dickheads, yeah? Now, what is also disturbing, however, is that Russia is, systematically destroying Ukrainian power plants, critical infrastructure, terrorizing civilians. But when we read comments in Russian public spaces, no Russians are outraged by it at all. They complain that it's not enough, that Russia should hit Ukraine even harder, that all of Ukrainians must die, and that Ukraine brought this war on itself for daring to exist without them. And you can actually look up these profiles and see that these are real people, not just bots. And you can't help but wonder how and why they have this mindset, this, sickness of the brain, bred and indoctrinated from an early age to just be horrible to everyone. And such moral depravity, such ugliness, they'll sit there in their shitty apartment with everything breaking around them. And it doesn't matter because propaganda's on the telly and that's all they're interested in. So they endure all this oppression and make it somebody else's fault. It's just incredible. They're treated like, abused, treated like they don't matter, and yet believe that they are still the greatest country, even when there is literally geezers of shit thrown up in the streets. But they're the best, remember? They're the best. It's a cult. It's a death cult, folks. And their entire history can be summed up with invaded our neighbours, committed genocide. That's basically all they are. They're not a conquering empire anymore, but they do still think they are. And for that, they're very proud, despite the fact that they don't have indoor working toilets in most of the country. Anyway, I think on that note, I'm done for the day. Love yous, mean it and all that, but I got to go shopping. Otherwise, I've got no food in the house. So, it's important stuff, that.
Absolutely, Mockers. Good space today. Well spoken. I couldn't agree with the last couple of minutes of what you said. Absolutely spot on. They are serfs and they're losing, and they know they're losing, and Ukraine will win. And with that, I'll say Slava Ukraini.
Heroim Slava.
Thank you so much, both of you.
Slava Nazi.
Smert Velaham.
Smert Velaham.
Smitchvaraham. Love you, mean it. Go get yourself some groceries, Margaret. We'll see you all tomorrow. With that, I'll say Scar Popachimus.
Popachimus.
Popachimus.